of my presentation, what I wanted to speak about. So you can flip to the next one. Okay, so this is basically just my background, how I always wanted, I'm going to do this really quick, how I always wanted to work with animals. I always had an affinity and enjoyed spending my time with them. And so this is me talking about how I wanted to be a vet and I wanted to help animals, and that was my roots. You can go to the next one. And so basically I went to a college called Medai, and I learned very quickly that all the people there in the veterinary technology program came in wanting to help animals. And as a process of the program and the forced desensitization through a required course called Introduction to Laboratory Animal Sciences, we ended up coming out completely desensitized and ready to make that money within the research field. And so this is just a picture. You can go to the next one. This is just a picture of inside the actual laboratory. Now these are some of the things that we were told we needed to be doing in order to get our degree to help animals. And I, along the way, contested it, saying I have no interest in gavage. I have no interest in intraperitoneal injections or, intraorbital blood draws. This is not at all, what I'm seeing. That you'll never see these things done in a veterinary setting with people's, companion animals. So why am I being forced to do it here? But at that point, I was very new to the idea of institutionalized exploitation of animals, and so I did it. And those are the things of nightmares in my life. But you can go to the next slide. This is just to give people an idea of the things that people have to do in the veterinary technology field, So this is just showing, when we think of beagles, we think of dogs that are really personable, really friendly, and they're running about having a great time. But the truth is that they don't get to run inside the laboratory, and we as students are basically taught that this is the status quo. This, what you expect to be, what you expect to be able to do with the animals, which is enjoy their presence, enjoy their company. They're not there for that. We're there to hose down the cages twice a day with the animals in them oftentimes. And an example on the bottom here is a cat that was very outgoing when the cat came into us. And by the end of what was going on there, after months and months of living in a cage without ever having any real socialization or time out other than to be injected and sedated, the animal began to completely cower in the corner. And that's a picture of what that looks like. You can go to the next slide. Okay, and then so basically for the students in the veterinary technology program, these beagles were kept in cages for 3 months at a time, never allowed out for walks on any regular basis, just when students felt like, bringing them out to have a little walk. But because of the course load, you weren't really seeing that ever happen. But reliably, once a year, we would have the parade, the beagle parade around Halloween, where these animals would be brought out of their cages, dressed in ridiculous outfits, many times frothing from the mouth, vomiting, completely stressed out, but we would parade them around campus. And so that's another example of how, they were completely objectified. You can go to the next slide, please. And so basically, I'm just going to go through this really quick. I'm not even really going to spend much time, but you can see here that these are the standard falsehoods and industry propaganda. We, of course, have respect for these animals. We, of course, are concerned about minimizing their pain and suffering. And what they are doing is they're sacrificing their lives for us. And so we really appreciate them doing that, but it's very necessary and highly, highly regulated. You can go to the next screen, please. And so basically, after I watched animals be given the wrong medications, have grand mal seizures, be dropped on their heads under sedation, suffering neurological problems, dilated pupils, things like that suggest neurological damage. None of this, of course, being written in the medical records. I said I had a 4.0. I had one semester left to graduate. I said, I'm not doing this. And I left the program, I left the college, and I went across the street to a new college called Canisius, where I said, I'm done with the animal research. I want to do animal behavior, ecology, and conservation. You know, how could that be bad? So I went there. I explained to the director of the program that I had no interest in animal research anymore. I was coming to this new college because I wanted to get away from that. And he said, of course, oh, that's wonderful. So we welcome you with open arms. You can go to the next slide, please. And unfortunately, after I registered and on my first day, we took a tour of the laboratory facilities. And they, again, I mean, no one told me that we were going to be doing any lab research. I didn't want to be a part of this. But as you're walking down the regular hallways of the school, not even getting into the actual laboratory facility, we would see these signs all posted on the walls. And I'm sure some of you may, if you're involved in any kind of sciences, you may have seen things like this on the walls. But these were all over the walls where I was going for animal behavior. So you can go to the next slide, please. And so this is a picture on the top of Dr. Michael Noonan, who is the director of the Animal Behavior Program. And he would bring in people like Temple Grandin to talk about how we're helping to ease the pain of the animals, but it's absolutely inevitable that they be used and exploited, and that's not the issue. The issue is minimizing the pain. And we would take field trips to places like the zoo, places like Marineland. And in one class, I specifically remember him saying that, I know we all care about animals, but what we're really here to do is we're learning how to kill them better. And I looked around the room and nobody even flinched. And I said, oh no, it's happening again. You know, I'm right back in the middle of animal research again. So you can go to the next slide, please. Basically, as a part of the program that this Dr. Noonan said I really had to be in this one class because he wanted me on his team. He knew that I was a strong voice and he wanted to, basically, he wanted to, create an animal research out of me. And so he said I had to be a part of this one class. And so I said, oh, absolutely, let's do it. He didn't tell me that there was a laboratory portion, and so I found that out on the first day. This is an example. This is the actual enclosure here that you see on the top left photo. This is a mechanism that had been made. It had been housing a colony of rats, different ones every semester, but they had been used for 30 years. And these animals would basically fight each other constantly. These animals could not escape each other. They would eat each other alive when the babies were born. Unlike in the wild, where the rats could escape their aggressors, and unlike in the wild, where the females had somewhere to go to escape male advances, that wasn't going on here. So literally, this cage would need to be cleaned down every morning with the blood and the body parts to be removed. But basically, the idea behind this project was, as Michael Noonan said, we were learning how to collect data. We were observing the animals' behaviors, and we weren't there to make any judgment about whether or not they should be there, are they suffering. No. We were supposed to collect data on how many times they drank, which animals hung out with one another, when did they sleep during the day. Okay, well, I collected the data on the aggressive interactions, and I documented all of this with the photos that you see here, and I don't have time to show the video, but I do have video as well. You can go goes to the next slide. Basically, again,